I think she starts over, and she's a physical therapist, and she works with elderly people. And I think she gets a lot of healing from that because they remind her of the grandparents that she never really had. She had a lot of loss in her life, but she also has a relationship with her sister and her mother that's struggling. And so throughout the book, it starts to build on that. And as well as she's also a writer, and when she was doing a writing exercise, a memory from childhood came up about her father leaving them when she was little. And so she had a lot of healing to do about that. And once she started realizing that, I think all the pieces start coming together. And, this book is about forgiveness.
Lori Hayes is joining us today. It is the Fall 2021 show, the Christian Product Expo in St. Louis. This is the Meeting House on Faith Radio. Well, Lori, in your book, Island Summer, we're talking about Emily coming out of this, as you described it, a narcissistic relationship, going through a healing process. There are some challenges as she begins her new life, if you will. She moves or does she actually move permanently, or is it kind of a short-term stint at the beach?
She moves permanently there.
Okay.
Definitely.
So she meets another gentleman.
Yes.
What did you want to communicate about perhaps what a healthy relationship looks like?
I wanted to communicate how to trust again, how to love again, how to believe in love. And, that was really difficult for her. And she kept resisting him, but he's so charming, and he owns a ferry boat, and he talks to this pelican named Sam, and you can't help but fall in love with him. And so I think that hopefully the audience is rooting, the readers are rooting for them from the very beginning. And he's patient, but actually in the very beginning, he's not really interested in love anyway. But the meddling grandmother sets them up.
The meddling grandmother.
And I tend to write about grandmothers in my books all the time, and I don't know why. I think I never really had a close relationship with my grandparents, and they're deceased. And I guess I lived through that, but I also work in the elderly community too. So I do think that there's some similarities with Emily there to myself.
Well, you are a writer in what we might call the Christian romance space, and that is actually it's a genre. It's actually a contrast to the, as we might say, the enormous volume of romance-oriented books. What do you see as the place for romantic novels that actually have a Christian worldview perspective?
I think there's a big need for them, and especially this world sometimes seems so dark and so confusing and so lonely, and I just try to insert fun and a little bit of humor and playfulness, and when you're at the beach you can't help but relax and let that breeze just work on you, but I try to just keep it uplifting and shine a light in the dark.
As we close, you mentioned that forgiveness is one of the dominant themes. And tell me, let me preface my last question here by just saying that if you have unforgiveness in a previous relationship or just unforgiveness in your heart in general, that can really weigh down and be a negative factor in future relationships. So it sounds like to me that Emily, as you wrote this into your character, really needed to extend forgiveness in her own life before she would even be ready to enter into another relationship. So comment on that if you would.
Absolutely. I think, she had to learn just to let go and just have fun and not be so inside her head, and just believe again, and just make friends with a man first and learn to trust him and have some fun with him and go out on the island and see those wild horses and let God work.